Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to lesson 5-7. We're going to keep working with dividing, and in this lesson, we're going to talk specifically about using sharing to divide. Now remember, when we're using sharing, like when you have place value blocks, you break up the big ones first, right? And then you move into the smaller groups. The reason we do that is when you start with the larger numbers, you can always break them apart to make more. But if you start with the small numbers, you can't break the small ones into any more pieces. You can't break the ones into anything smaller. So we always start with the largest place value we have, whether it's tens or hundreds or thousands, and then work from the largest place value down to the smallest. Let's go ahead and watch our instructional video, and then we're going to get into our notes and do a couple examples of how we can use sharing to help us solve different division problems.
How can place value help you divide? The Craft Club made 375 keychains. They sold 137 of the keychains at the school fair. The rest need to be packed into 2 boxes with the same number of keychains in each box. How many keychains will go in each box? First, subtract to find how many keychains need to be packed. The Craft Club started with 375 keychains and sold 137 of them. 375 minus 137 equals 238. So 238 keychains need to be packed. Draw hundreds, tens, and ones to show 238. Find 238 divided by 2. Start by dividing the hundreds into 2 equal groups. What if there were not enough hundreds to divide into 2 equal groups?
So stop and think, what do we need to do if we can't divide the hundreds into equal groups? What's something that we can do, since it's a large number, to help make more of it?
If there were not enough hundreds to divide into 2 equal groups, you could exchange hundreds for tens. Next, divide the tens into 2 equal groups. Unbundle 1 10 for 10 ones. 10 ones plus 8 ones equals 18 ones. Why are only 2 of the 3 tens used in this step?
Now stop and think. If we had 3 tens, but we have to break it into 2 equal groups, are we able to share the 3 tens equally between the 2 groups? No, we can't, because 1 10 can go into one and 1 10 can go into the other. And then if we leave the other group of 10 whole, we can't share it. So what we have to do is we need to exchange it or decompose that 10 into ones. So we're going to break that 10 into ones. So you have 10 ones in addition to the 8 tens, into the addition to the 8 ones that you already have. So you had the 8 ones from before, and then you took one of your 10 rods and you broke it up into 8 ones, or sorry, into 10 ones.
There are only enough tens to have 1 10 in each group. There is 1 10 left over that can be exchanged for ones. Finally, divide the 18 ones into 2 equal groups. 119 keychains go into each box.
All right, now our question here says divide 238 into 2 equal groups. So let's go ahead and see what we're going to do. Now I can take I can take 100 here and 100 here. And I can take one group of 10 here and one group of 10 here. And then the last group of 10, I need to break apart because I can't put it in either group. So I'm going to break apart my 200, or sorry, my last group of 10 into 10 ones. So 10 ones, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And then I'm going to put another 5 there because I know 10, when I split it into 2 equal groups, I end up with 5. Now, after I do that, I'm going to look at the ones that I already had. So I had 8 ones. Now I know 8 broken up into 2 groups is going to be 4 plus 4 because I know in my doubles fact. So 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, there, and there. And then I can add 1 more to each group. So I added a total of 119 to each group. So I have my 100 flat. I had my 110 rod that I could keep as a whole 10 rod in each group. The other group of 10 in the 38, I had to break apart into 10 ones. So I did my 10 ones that I split between 2 groups, which was 5 and 5. And then I took the 8 ones and I split that into 2 groups, which was 4 and 4. So that gave me 119 in each group.
How does the drawing represent how you traded the 1 extra 10 for 10 ones? The extra 10 is replaced by 10 ones. Now you know how place value can help you divide.
Great job!
So as we saw in this example, we need to start with our largest place value because the largest place value is the one that we can make more out of. If I'm working with hundreds and I don't have enough hundreds, I can break those hundreds into tens. If I'm working with tens and I don't have enough tens, I can break those tens into ones. But if I start with my ones, it becomes a problem because I'm going to get to a point where I don't have enough. So we start with our biggest place value and work our way down because the larger place values can be broken up into smaller parts. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our notes for this lesson, and then we're going to jump into our guided practice. Now our notes for this lesson, our lesson title, of course, is 5-7, Using Sharing to Divide. Now remember, you can use sharing to show division with big and small dividends. It's not only used for big numbers, you can use it for smaller numbers as well. We use place value blocks to show division of large numbers, and then we share them between the groups equally. Now remember, one of the most important things about dividing is you need to be sharing them equally. The groups need to be made of equal amounts. Any extras that cannot be shared equally between all the groups is called your remainder. So the example that we're going to look at here is 425 divided by 3. And I need to think about how to solve that. So I drew out my 400 and my 20 and my 5, and I'm going to break it up into groups of 3. So here's my 3 groups down here. So first I can grab 100 here, 100 here, and 100 here. Fantastic, no problems so far. But I have another 100 left over. That's a problem because I can't share one group of 100 between 3 groups. I have to decompose it. I have to switch it out. So that one group of 100, I'm going to break it into 10 tens. So now I have 12 tens altogether because remember, I had 2 tens originally right here. So I have the 10 tens from that 100 plus the 2 tens from my original number. Now I haven't changed my number. 10 tens is still equal to 100. I just put it into smaller chunks. Okay, so now that I have 12 tens altogether, now I can divide these between 3 equal groups. Now I know 4 times 3 is 12, so I'm going to have 4 in each one of these groups. Then I get to my ones. And here I can see I have 5 ones right here. Put a 1 here, put a 1 here, put a 1 here. I've used 3 of my ones. I crossed them out while I was working so that I know how many I've used. Now I'm left with these 2 ones right here. So these are not enough to share equally between 3 groups because you can't make 3 out of 2. So this is going to be my remainder. Now I know that 425 divided by 3 is going to be however much I have in each group. So 100 plus 40 plus 1. Each one of my groups has 141 in it, with a remainder of these two that I wasn't able to share equally. So 425 divided by 3 was equal to 141 with a remainder of 2. Now I stacked and multiplied to check my work. I did it the traditional way with carrying. I didn't do it with partial products. You can do it with partial products if you like. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So I put the 2 and I carried my plus 1 over here. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So that gave me 423. Now remember, you have to add in your remainder to whatever your product is to find your answer. So 423 plus those two remainder gave me 425. So now I know that my answer is correct. If you would like to solve this using partial products, we can do that. You can do 141 times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 40, because that 4 is in the tens place, is 120. And 3 times 100 is 300. And add those together. Then we add that to remainder, and you still get to your same answer of 425. So if you want to do it with partial products, if you do want to do it with stacking and carrying, either one is going to get you to your answer. So we've used place value blocks. We've used all sorts of different tools in math that we can use to share equally. Place value blocks are really great to work with because they have a value. So the big flats are 100, the long rods are 10, and the individual little cubes are 1s. Now let's take a look at another example. So in my next example, I want to find 557 divided by 2. Now I already know just from looking at this number, because the ones place is a 7, because that's an odd number, I know I'm going to end up with a remainder. So let's go ahead and draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens, and then 7 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. Now let's walk through the process to show you what happened over here. If I'm breaking it into 2 equal groups, if I had 5 of them, I can put 2 here and 2 here. That's 4. But then I have this 100 left over. That's a problem because I can't share 100 flat between 2 equal groups. So what I have to do is I need to break that 100 flat into 10 groups of 10. So now I have 10 tens with the other 5 tens that I already had from before. So now I have 15 tens. If I have 15 tens, I need to start splitting those into 2 groups. So I know 2 times 7 is 14. So I was able to put 7 in each one of these. But then I have this 1 left over. This 1 group of 10 is a problem because I can't break it in half to put it into 2 equal groups. I have to trade it out for 1s. So I'm going to break my 10 into 1s. So now I have 17 1s altogether. The 7 1s from the original equation, plus the 10 1s from this 10 rod that I switched out. So if I have 17 1s, I can keep putting 1s into each group. Now I know 8 times 2 is 16, so I could put 8 in each group, but then I end up with 1 left over here, that 17th 1. That last 1 is my remainder because it can't be shared equally between 2 groups. Now, if I want to count how much I have in each group, I have 200, 210, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 270, 272, 274, 276, 278. So each one of my groups has 278 in it with 1 left over. So 557 divided by 2 is going to give me 278 with a remainder of 1. Now I'm going to go back and check my work. So 278 times 2, I'm going to work backwards and do my inverse operation. 278 times 2 gives me 556. 556 plus that 1 remainder, because we have to add it back in, is 557. Since my 2 numbers match, I know that my work was done correctly. Again, if you wanted to do this using partial products, you could. 2 times 8 would have given you 16. You would have put 16 underneath. 2 times 70 would have given you 140. You would have put that underneath. 2 times 200 would have given you 400, and you would have put that underneath and then added those partial products together. Now let's go ahead and take a look at your guided practice for this lesson. So your first guided practice question asked you to draw 423 divided by 3. So I set up 3 groups over here. Now 423 divided by 3, they wanted you to draw that, and they told you that it's equal to 141. So you would break the hundreds, 100 in each group, that's 300. Your fourth hundred, you were going to break it into 10 tens. So you'd have 10 tens plus 2 tens is 12 tens. 12 divided into 3 equal groups is 4. So we have 4 tens in each one. And then 3 divided by 3 is equal to that last one. You can go ahead and check your work by doing the inverse operation. Since there were no remainders, you don't need to add anything extra in. 141 times 3 will give you 423. Since those two numbers match, we know that our work was done correctly. Now for number 2, it said 48 divided by 3. We had to figure out how to draw and solve that. So I drew my 48 and I made my 3 groups down here. So I was able to share these 3 between the 3 groups, but that last one, I had to switch out, right? I broke apart that last one into 10 ones. So that last group of 10 that I had, I broke it into 10 ones. So now I had 10 ones and 8 ones, right? So that was 18 ones. And I had to divide that into my groups. So I was able to put, I know 6 times 3 is 18. So I was able to equally share those 18 ones in between my 3 groups, and each group got a group of 6 in it. So each group had 1 10 and 6 ones. So that means each group had 16. So 48 divided by 3 was equal to 16. If I wanted to check and do the inverse operation, I would do 16 times 3. If my answer was 48, then my work would be correct. I apologize, my work is a little bit crowded on this page, but bear with me. All right, for number 3, we had to solve 176 divided by 5. Now again, looking at this question right away, we know multiples of 5 either end with a 5 or a 0. So since 176 ended with a 6, I know that I'm going to end up with remainders. So I draw it out, 170 and 6 up here. Now, I can't break 100 into 5. I have to switch it out for tens. So my 100 became 10 tens. And remember, I already had 7 tens. So 10 tens and 7 tens is 17 tens. So now I had a group of 17 that I needed to share between 5 groups. And I know 5 times 3 is 15. So each group got 3. I was able to use 15. And then I had 2 groups of 10 left over. I can't share 2 groups between 5, so I had to break both of those groups. So instead of 2 groups of 10, I had 20 ones. 20 ones in addition to the 6 ones that I already had from my question. So now I had 26 ones. So I had to think 26 divided by 5. Well, I know 5 times 5 is 25, so I was able to put 5 in each group. And that last one was a remainder. I can't make 26 out of 5 equally, or I can't make 26 with 5 equally. So that one is my remainder. So I checked and I counted. I had 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 in each one of my groups. So 176 divided by 5 gave me 35 with a remainder of 1. For number 4, we had to do 56 divided by 3. So I drew my 3 groups. I drew my 56, my 5 tens and my 6 ones. And I was able to put 1 group of 10 into each one, and I crossed it out as I used it. But then I had 2 more groups of 10s that I didn't know what to do with because I can't share them between 3 groups. So I had to decompose or break apart these 2 10s into 10 ones and then another 10 ones. So that's 20 of my ones right here. plus the 6 ones I had originally from my problem. So I have 26 ones over here. Now I have to do 26 ones divided by 3. So I was going through and putting 1 in each group until I landed on these 2 left over. So I was able to put 8 ones into each one of my groups because 8 times 3 is 24. But I had 26 ones. So I was able to use the 24 and I had 2 left over. Now I can't share 2 equally between 3 groups, so that 2 was my remainder. So each group had one group of 10 and 8 ones, which makes 18. So 56 divided by 3 was equal to 18 with a remainder of 2, those 2 left over at the end that I could not share equally between my 3 groups. The rest of your questions are very similar. They're asking you to draw and share and use your sharing strategies to solve these problems. Remember, you start with your largest digit, your largest place value when you divide, and then you work your way down into your smallest place value. That's it for this lesson. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.